How's it going, everybody? Today we are running the REZ antenna Gauntlet. What is that? Well, REZ antenna is kind of like an a la carte antenna solution. Different options for installing vertical antennas, even using vertical antennas as a delta loop or as a dipole. We're gonna get all of them up in the air right now. We're gonna test them for their capabilities, but I'm also going to talk to you about the convenience in their setup. You can go back and watch my video on the vertical antenna, being one of my favorite portable antennas you can use out in the field. So it's going to be fun to put the REZ through its paces and explain why you might be interested. Links will be in the description. Thanks a lot to REZ for sending me this to take a look at. This antenna is going to a great group, volunteer group, that gets youth on the air within the scouting organization. I'll be talking about them in the future, likely doing a video with them, and to give them this antenna. So thanks again to REZ for not only letting me take a look at this, but then also helping out a great volunteer group that helps out new amateur radio operators. So let's get started taking a look at this Gauntlet for antennas. Now, I'm most intrigued with this potential dipole setup. So I'm going to be using a tripod that I picked up some time ago, just, I don't know, about 20 feet or so, and we're going to be hanging the antenna with two elements off the side of it. I don't know how it's going to work, but we're going to have some fun trying it out. So let's go ahead and set this tripod up, and then we'll get it up on the air. Now, I think when you're talking about the REZ antennas, the piece that gets the most utility is the Scout blank, or it's the pass-through. So here would be the shield side of the coax, which connects to a bulkhead SO239 mount. And then the center pin is isolated and goes up through the middle. So hypothetically, with this screw here on the side and with this screw on the end here, I can take this coupler, which is a pass-through, I can add it to the antenna, and then I can take this and I can add it to the top. And that will allow us to make a dipole antenna for field radio, just like that. You see? Pretty cool. Let's hang it up on our mast. All right, I have some slightly rigid Potaflex 7 here with an S-beaner attached to our REZ Scout, and I'm just gonna click it onto my 3D print for a little loop connection, and I'm just gonna take my coax. The coax is gonna kinda, I think, stabilize this a little bit. I'm a little curious how the bend here, I don't know, it's gonna be interesting. Never tested this, so I'm excited to try it. If you'd like to get yourself some high-vis Potaflex coax for the next time you're doing a portable activation, take the link in the video description. Thank you very much. All right, we're using the Stealth Black 17-foot Z17 whips. I'm gonna attach them to the end of the Scout. We start adding some weight. I'm curious if the isolated end is gonna drip a little lower because it's just sticks out a little bit more. Well, actually I take that back because we got the, no, I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen, we'll see. I'm just gonna extend it all the way out and see what we get frequency-wise. This is a fiberglass mast aside from this lower portion. We should be pretty well isolated. And I'm kinda holding this down. Okay, all right, let's see what's happening. We're gonna get some serious droop on this thing, but okay, it's not bad. Let's hoist it. That's not bad, not heavy. I'm looking for cars. Okay, not bad. Oh, there's my mark, don't go past that. Okay, this is facing north-south right now, so I'm gonna try and rotate it. I'm just gonna Armstrong rotate. And it's rotating. There is a deep match here. Both sides are a little too long, maybe by 5 inches or so. So I'm gonna bring this down, I'm gonna adjust it, and we're gonna test it again. That was more like 6 inches, but let's see how it goes. It is lightweight though, so I will give it that. So the adjustment was too much. So this is the game you're gonna have to play until you figure this out. I went with 6 inches. We should have really only gone with 3 inches on each side. So we're gonna adjust it again until we're right on 20 meters. After lots of fussing, I got this to exactly 1.47 to 1, basically across the entirety of the 20-meter band, which is great. So we're gonna do whisper tests Whisper test is a digital mode where people that can hear my signal upload it to the internet and tell me how loud I was. Also see if I can chase some POTA, but I'm a little worried about this oscillation not being good to use, kind of, unless you have a way of kind of locking it in. Kilo India 6, November Alpha Zulu.
Kilo India 6, November Alpha Zulu. I've got you a 5x5 in the US Park 12549.
Copy that. You're 5555 into Southern California. Thank you for being out there, 7-3.
Using your testing, so great stuff. Appreciate you calling me.
Hey, yeah, man, good on you. Congratulations. So have fun out there. Have fun activating on this Sunday. Take it easy, 7-3. Now, before kicking things off to go to the Whisper test, I'm going to throw on a choke isolator that was sent to me by Marconi Solutions. Thank you very much. They sent a very nice letter and very kind words. Thank you very much. And also, they produced the propagation game, which I just realized. I played this once with my kids to kind of learn how to do it. We're gonna have a follow-on video to show Hams all about this really cool game. And yeah, it's a fun little almost board game like card game that you play building up your shack and making contacts over time. So thank you for that too. But let's add the isolator. I'm gonna add it closer to the radio just to see if we can cut some stray RF that was getting into my laptop and making my Whisper transmissions unhappy. But let's take a look at this thing. 3D printed RFC101 MSS. Nice. All right, let's load it up. There seems to be a REZ contest that's happening right now. I was not aware of that, but that's okay. We're just doing Whisper. I don't know what secrets the Whisper will tell us for a couple of things. The dipole and then the delta loop that you can set up with the REZ. You kind of have to orient it, but it will show some difference than just a pure omnidirectional vertical. So I'm actually kind of interested to see what we're gonna see with the signal differences, both in close with the delta loop and what kind of expanded DX type connection you may get. We'll see. I'm kind of interested. An impressive showing from the dipole. 197 contacts with one transmission period over Whisper. Running QRP, reminder, furthest distance was a total of 6,039 miles to HB9 TMC, followed up by 6,013 miles to OE9 GHV. Very impressive. Got an ON5KQ as well. That's pretty good, all things considered. Well, I'm a massive idiot. It turns out that REZ knew exactly the problem, which was the dipole flippity-flopping around, and instead of me just looking in the kit a little bit longer, they have a tensioning system which will hold it firmly in place against my mast. Now, it is against aluminum versus my fiberglass, so I would probably recommend doing it exactly like they're doing with actual metal for the mast. I'm a little hesitant. I don't want to damage my fiberglass, although I don't think I'd be torquing it down enough to do that. But do keep that in mind. I guess check the website. They already have a solution. I'm just a big idiot. So sorry, guys. Anyway, it looks really good. So before we go back to the standalone Scout, I wanted to show you what this looks like when it's mounted. I haven't torqued this on very good, so I'm not going to put it up. I don't want to damage my fiberglass. I think aluminum is the way to go here, but yeah, they do make a really nice mount. You can see that this is like a cast, it might be cast aluminum with some kind of a billet carved or CNC'd aluminum. And then there's this post that goes all the way through, and it keys the section, the holder of the Scout, so it won't rotate, it won't turn. So when it's in your mast, it will not rotate with the wind. Perfect. This is exactly the kind of design I would expect, and this will work. This will work well. Regarding the delta loop, though, there is a universal tripod kind of puck, and then there's this other aluminum puck attachment mount point that goes together. And so you make a tripod out of this. And tighten this guy down real good because you don't want it to blow in the wind. And then you get your Scout back and you throw the Scout onto one of the legs. Now, if you are thinking about coax in your head, it's often easiest to think about the legs of the tripod are all now part of the shield of the coax. The shield of the coax and the center pin will connect to the coax connection, and then only the center pin will go out the middle here. So we can take a 17-foot whip here and another one on the other side at a 45-degree angle, giving you 90 degrees here on the center, and then we can attach the two in the middle with a line, and that's part of the kit too. So let's mount this up. Now remember, these are a la carte parts, so if you want to do a delta loop, you'll need to buy the Scout, this little angle bracket, the tripod, or supply your own devices to be able to do it. And then you'll need to get two 17-foot whips and then also get the wire that attaches them together. And that looks like this. When you're kind of on a road, like I am, if you just send out the 17-foot elements, you're likely going to get a little droop. So what I like to do is connect the wire first after getting the 17-footers in line, and then using the wire to kind of pull back on them as you can make the connection. Because if you don't do the connection now, it's going to be hard once they're fully extended. Disconnect this guy like that. There's a loop that goes over the tip. Then you extend out the whip. Use the clip on the metal here. I like to bring it all the way up to the very end. And then it's going to want to kind of pull in like this once you start extending. So go ahead and extend it out. Now a delta loop will give you multi-band capability, but you generally have to bring a tuner. Now I've never tested this antenna configuration with the REZ, and frankly, every time I've ran a delta loop, I usually have a 4-to-1 un to be able to make it work. So I'm not sure how this is going to perform. I am going to use a tuner though, a very capable tuner. At the same time, we're gonna witness this together. Okay, oh, I'm losing it. Normally I have a little bit beefier tripod when I do these delta loops. Okay, now, I'm gonna pull it in like this, connect to the other guy. Whee! Okay, delta loop. Now, this tripod is a little small for this. So I'm gonna bring back my sandbags and I'm gonna throw them over the top of it, and also actually I'm just throw the other one on top of it too. Like so. No metal, so just sand. And now we have a delta loop. At least for a proof of concept, to handle the impressive impedance we're gonna be dealing with, I'm gonna use the ICOM AH705 tuner here. Well, this should handle the impedance mismatch. I don't really know if this will work. I've never done a delta loop off of a tuner like this without also deploying a 4-to-1 un. So I guess it's a little bit of an ICOM test as well. Anyway, taking a supplied BNC connection. Comes with the tuner. Also the tip ring sleeve connection for control from the radio. And then of course the feed line to the delta loop. And we hear signals, but they're a little attenuated from what they were with the dipole. I bet once I throw that tuner in line, it'll sort itself out. Wow, looks like it did it. Okay.
Okay, November Echo 6 Fox.
I don't know that it's hearing better.
Alpha Uniform Sierra. Okay, that is here. Thank you very much.
Kilo India 6, November Alpha Zulu.
November. Yeah, you're 5-9 into Wyoming. Alpha. Kilo Golf 7 Alpha Quebec November. So Alpha KG 7 Alpha Quebec November and forward. You're 5-9 and the continent of trading. 082 at 11. We are going to have
They peak at about an S5 right now. I'm going to rotate this completely broadside to face them, and let's see if it changes anything. Kilo India 6, November Alpha Zulu.
Remember Alpha Zulu, standby 1. Or I pick up the Whiskey 6 Golf Yankee.
I'm making it.
Yankee,
Making it.
55 Oscar Romeo.
Massive signal right on top of them, or next to them.
58 Central California, we've got a second operator for you. Please stand by for second operator.
We got a twofer here, guys.
Have a great weekend. All right, there's the station November Alpha Zulu only, please.
Kilo India 6 November Alpha Zulu.
Real white copy. I think I might have got it. Is it Kilo India 6? Are you Kilo India 6 November Alpha Zulu?
That's correct. That's correct. QSL. QSL.
I heard that is correct in QSL, I believe. Real white copy. You're at 3x1. 3-1 Oscar Romeo. 3-1 Oscar Romeo. We do have a second operator. Please stand by for second operator.
Okay.
Kilo India 6 November Alpha Zulu. This is Whiskey 7 Tango Echo Echo 3-1 Oscar Romeo.
Copy, 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 copy. You are a 5-5, both operators 5-5 into Cerritos, California, Southern California.
Oh, thank you for the 5-5 into California, Doug. 7-3.
Thank you very much. Have fun activating. 7-3.
7-3. And QRZ, on the air. Kilo Charlie.
Okay.
Tango.
We got through, but with some difficulty. Yeah, okay. What are we doing there? Very good. Initial thoughts on the Delta Loop. Without the 4-to-1, I don't know that I would recommend this one. It's kind of fun to set up. It's a cool looking antenna. Now, if you have not, I do like a Delta Loop at like 20 feet or higher for 20 meters. That's actually a really fun antenna. I tested one similar to this a couple of years ago, and it worked fantastically. So, I'm not sure about that. Okay, that means we can get straight into vertical territory. Wait, nope. We need whisper. Let's do some whisper tests. I'm gonna go ahead and slide the antenna back into that north by northeast trajectory here. We're in the middle of our whisper transmit on the Delta Loop. The receive side looks about the same as the dipole, but I see more VE stations. So we're getting further up north, it looks like, which can be interesting. I'm curious about that. So it's gonna be nice to be able to plot these out and be able to see the difference, at least in terms of the furthest station when we plot this all up on Whisper. One of the reasons you might want to consider one of these antennas, though, is if you wanted to do multiband radio. This should allow us to pick up a couple more bands. So let's go down to 10, see if we can tune that up. And we did. I expect this to probably go no more than 40, but let's go to 12. And we got it. 15. Oh, that's loud. 17 looks promising. Oh yeah, noisy band though. We know we already got 20. Ah, okay, that was a weird. 30 meters, can we get 30? Looks like we can. Yeah, locked right in there. All right, let's go to 40. Wow, it's really putting the icon to the task. Yeah, it made it on 40. You know what the heck? Let's throw some whisper out on 40 as well. Why not?
The Delta Loop did not do as well with about 100 contacts on 20 meters. The furthest, 2,624 miles. Keep in mind, as conditions change, I shot this over the course of a day, and so yeah, we're going to see different numbers here, but you can kind of get a feel for it. 50% less contacts with the Delta Loop over the dipole. Now, for 40 meters, this is interesting. I'm showing you the other direction. We're going lower. None of the contacts really made it over 900 miles, but the closest in contact got us down to like 40-something miles. And so that makes it useful for NVIS, which this seems to do pretty well. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, probably because of the time of the day, 40 meters doesn't look that hot, but we were able to pick up a couple of stations, all local six-landers. I'm curious, are we getting a bit of NVIS? I wouldn't be surprised if the answer is a very much yes. Let's try a couple of other bands on the tuner. Now, I expect the tuner to be able to handle 40 meters. I don't expect 80 to work. I think this is going to be out of the ballpark. And it's likely not going to be a good performer, but it did it. Did it. I think that's more the tuner than the antenna in this case. Can we do 160? Oh, man. It's doing it. It did it. Wow. I did not expect that. S9 noise on 160. Not surprising. Wow, that's crazy. All right, let me get back down to 20 meters. I usually use 20 meters on this, so I'm going to leave it tuned up there around that space. And yep, boom, all the noises come in. All right, it's vertical time. Pros, cons of a delta loop. Well, it's a pretty big antenna. You also have to probably bring a tuner along for the ride. I don't think you can do it without a tuner. And that's just more stuff to fail on you. The good news here, though, is with the REZ antenna system, you're always going to be left with a vertical. Worst case scenario, you just throw down some radials and you go full vertical, which, you know, that's not bad. That's usually my starting point in most cases. So a couple little bits. In fact, maybe in my backpack, if I was just doing a Parks on the Air, I could simply just take the vertical most of the time. But if I was going to be somewhere a little longer and I wanted multiband capability, well, I could just pack a tuner along and the second whip and the little aluminum plate here, and we could be good to go with a multi-band antenna solution. Can't complain about that. Now, off rip, I'm just going to tell you, I think the Scout is, this is what you want. It's literally the smallest blank type of thing. It has pre-drilled holes for attaching radials. It can be used with a delta loop. It could be used as a dipole. Yes, and if you did it correctly, you could have a nice little mount for a dipole that, you know, doesn't shift and turn in the wind. Yeah, keep that in mind on the website. I'll make sure I got links for everything, don't worry. This is, I think, the sweet spot. I really do think this is where they really knocked it out of the park. Now, of course, you can take the 17-foot whip and attach it, add radials, and you have like a 20 meter through 10 meter antenna. The downside is if you're like me in California, right? I'll demonstrate this right now, but if I just throw a 17-footer in the ground right here or anywhere in and around this area, I'm just not going to get all of 20, particularly the low side where WSJTX is. Let me just show you. The kit comes with 4 sets of radial wires, which I have in my other hand. Let's throw this on. These look to be 12-foot radials. So keep that in mind. I take that back. That's not 12 feet at all. That's more like 20 feet. Now let's just go all the way up. We're aiming for that 20-meter sweet spot. Let's see how we do. In this less than ideal situation, but you can trust me. I've assembled these multiple times. And it's not just REZ. I'm gonna throw those weights back on here too. Why not? Boom. Let's test it. Well, apparently I should just be setting up on sidewalks and whatnot because I did okay actually. So I guess you can take my word that sometimes this does well and other times it doesn't. We're getting about a 1.6 to 1 at 14.175. Not bad. That's the lowest we got to. That's probably good enough for 20, so what the heck? Let's see if we can find a POTA and maybe even do some whisper. Kilo India 6, November, Alpha Zulu. We are losing him. Kilo 7, Oscar Juliet Kilo.
Yeah, we were both relays today for K7JOY, Ole Miss 17 meter net. How you doing tonight? Pretty good. I've got you a 4-4 over. Yeah, I got you better. You're 5 and 7. Yeah, I'm 5-7 both ways. You're getting my butt away. Enjoy talking to you, sir. What are you looking at? I'm in Idaho. Trying to draft up another ham for us, or what do you got going? Oh, yeah. We were talking about 11 meter, talking about CB radio. And I said, well, check this out. This might be more interesting, QSL. Yeah, Roger, especially when the DX is good. I was talking all over the place today, Kuwait, Belarus. It was a pretty good day all in all. Oh, yeah. Greg, I understand. I've been doing the same thing. Anyway, sir, I appreciate the comeback. Hope everything's good up in Idaho. I passed through there about 3 weeks ago with my son. He plays in the band, and we were headed to Montana, so we went through, let me see, where did we go? We went to Idaho Falls and then cut over into Montana and went up by Yellowstone to a town called Immigrant, Montana. And, yeah, beautiful country, QSL. Yep, beautiful.
Well, you can't go wrong with the vertical, but it seems like we're running out of POTA stations. So let's fire off that Whisper before we'll lose the whole day.
Fell off, indeed we did. 35 stations picked me up on Whisper. The furthest one being 2,493 miles, and it looks like we got a bit of DX action there as well. That's not bad, but I expected a little bit better from the vertical, so I'm going to put that as maybe some band conditions because, like I said, I use these a lot in the field, and they do really well.
So the good news is the vertical performs about as we'd expect, right? It does vertical things, which is exactly what we want, right? But if for some reason you wanted to expand upon that, meaning you wanted more than 20 through 6 meters, I think you can even go down to 2 meters regardless, you know, it's a versatile piece. If you want to know more, go watch my video on my favorite portable HF antenna. REZ gives you two options. They give you a coil, right? So an inductor basically that you would put on the end of the fully elongated whip, or basically fully elongated. And then this adds 40 meters just right on the top, and you get the same little holes here for your radial. So you'd remove the blank, replace it with this, and that allows you to go on or off with this coil to engage 40 meters. So let's take a look at what this looks like on the SWR. Now performance-wise, we'll test this on 40 for Whisper. Adding the coil is going to affect the performance to the detriment of it. Instead of just having a quarter wavelength 40 meter antenna, you're adding a coil to it, which is not going to perform as well. But let's try it out. All right, the coil is off, so this should just be 20 meters. It's now too short on 20 meters. Let's see, can you see that? How does that happen? It's just outside the band. That's crazy how that happens. So it was fine if you use the Scout and just, okay, I've got to have there's got to be something that's short. Okay, hold on. There's no way. I physically added more wire. Or I added more metal. I had to have screwed something up here. Oh, wait. Yes, I did. Always, 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 always. When you have a problem and you think it's not right, it probably is something you did wrong. Yeah, so this actually makes it a little long on 20 meters. So let's check it with the band spread. Yeah, sure enough, we could probably lose about 5 inches. 5 inches off the top. Let's try that. Let's give it 6 3/4. How's that sound? Yeah. So 1.59 SWR across the whole band. Apologize if you can't see that. That's more than workable. Now, I'm not going to touch it. I'm just going to switch it over to 40 by clicking this little switch. So we shouldn't, I don't think we have to mess with it. We're just adding the inductor. And so we're going to go down to 40. And yeah, it's spot on. So we dropped that to 1.16 at 7.140. And the high is 1.5 SWR, which is actually kind of outside the band on both sides. So this is great for Whisper. In fact, let's throw some Whisper at this thing. Why not, right? We're doing this kind of to just see the difference. So this is going to be a vertical with a coil versus that the Delta loop, actually, the Delta loop we ran. Looks pretty good. All right, let's fire off some Whisper.
Pretty cool little factoid. The 40 meter Delta loop and the Recon 40 worked about the same. In fact, the Recon 40 got some more 40 meter contacts, and it got it a little bit further too, at just over 1,200 miles. Interestingly enough, on the flip side, the antenna picked up the same, or was picked up by the same station in close at 43 miles. Pretty good.
All right, so the Recon 40 does everything it says it would do. It adds 40 meters to a vertical whip. It's a little big, though. I'll give it that. There are, I think, other options on the market that are a little smaller for some folks. This looks the part. It's super cool, but you're going to have to decide if this is the one for you. Now, not smaller at all is the next vertical enhancer that REZ Antenna offers. And this, buddy, this is the Ranger 80. So we have the 40, we have the 20 meter on the whip, and now you have the 80. So this takes you from 20 to 40 and then 80 meters by simply slapping it in, fully sending up the whip and tuning it with this collar. Let's take a look at this too. Not knowing where to start, I'm just gonna set the coil to the middle, fully extend the whip. That's about halfway, I'd say. Now, you just swap out the other coil for the Ranger. It's at the base of the tripod. Put the whip on top, fully extend the whip because you want all the metal length you can in the air, and then you just adjust the tune with the collar. Let's test it. Way too long, not halfway at all. I'm guessing it's more like that. Should have known better. Oh my God, there's still more. Yikes. How deep does this thing go? Wow, it's still too long. This is kind of crazy. Yeah, still too long, jeez. That collar is almost all the way at the top. Two clicks, 2 clicks. No, not enough. So it's shorting out that whole thing. How is this? Okay, we've found it. I don't understand. This is not in my head because this is the one that's the 40. Look at the coils. What? I had it. What? Now we're 2 down. I'm back where I was before. You do this a lot, by the way, with verticals. You just kind of go back and forth. What? What did I do differently? This is crazy. It's too long again. That's crazy. Hi, Reggie, how you doing? Okay. Oh, I know. Okay. All right, yeah. You have a good walk. This might be one where you have to rotate the collar. Okay, so if you think it's a corkscrew, right? And you rotate it, it can affect it. Yeah, okay, we got it. Jesus. Okay, 1.29 is the lowest, and it's right smack dab on the whisper frequency. So let's throw some whisper at it. I'm not gonna try and do, maybe we'll poke around a little bit, but let's just see what we get. Oh, we already got some stations too, and they're all 6 landers, which makes sense. Got a decent match, so okay, let's test it out.
Fun factoids, picked up by 48 stations, with the longest one being 1,541 miles away. And guess what? Yep, it's that same in-close station as well, picked us up at 43 miles away. So we went from a delta loop to a vertical. Actually, now we're on our 3rd vertical. And the same stations are picking us up even close in. So the myth of NVIS busted? No, it's probably just ground wave or something along those lines. If we really want to deep dive this, we can go kind of call sign by call sign, find out where they're duplicated, or sort by the call sign, and see, hey, am I getting picked up by like all these different antennas, or some of them blocked off to me? That'd be a fun thing to do, something to do with your own antennas if you wanted to plot this type of stuff out.
We had a little bit of a kerfuffle. The sound card freaked out on the radio, even though we have the isolator and everything else going on. It seems like we got a little RF back into the radio. I'm hoping that the whisper test, it looked like it made it all the way through, but we'll see. Could be good. Hopefully we had a longer distance contact versus like with the delta loop. Maybe see a juxtaposition there. We'll see. All right, now we're going to slide that collar down to pick up 80 meters, because that's what this should give you. So let's do that. So is it the whole thing? If 40's up here, what does this give us? That is a lot of coil otherwise. Let's start there. I'm actually pretty close. It's a little too long. So then what's the bottom for? What does the bottom give you? If I drop the collar all the way down, do we get 160? But it's called the Ranger 80. Yeah, okay. I'm going the right direction, but I'm not exactly happy with the results. That's 3. That's 3 clicks, another 3, and it's still not in the band space. So I'm halfway up the coil. Okay, I just made it into 80, and it is, I don't know, 2 something to 1? 2 to 1. That's not fantastic. No, that's not good. And we're halfway, so what, if I slide it all the way down, what do we get? Let's try it. All the way down. What could that give us? Oh, no, that's too high. So it can't go low enough to get 160, but you can get 80 at a relatively not great SWR, and I appreciate, like, look, hey, we made it work with all the other verticals. 80 can be fussy. There's gonna be a deep V, so just eyeballing it, we got 2 to 1 SWR off of that bad boy. I mean, that's you can work with that, right? We know that, that's fine. In fact, we'll throw some whisper at it right now. But, sometimes when it comes to like a vertical, I already told you I like the verticals a lot, but if I can't like get decent coverage on 80, like I just won't be doing 80. I'll just stick to 40, and that's it in the evening. And that's all you're gonna do. And that's a whole lot of metal to be moving around on your person, taking with you. I think there's an argument where I would carry the Recon 40. But the Ranger 80 might be a bridge too far for me. So let's see what we got here. Oh man, I got some gnarly noise on 80. Yeah, so we can send power down the line and it didn't freak out. So let's go ahead and try and do some whisper. I'm gonna get out of the way here.
Now, only 12 contacts, hear me out, right? But furthest contact 672 miles and closest in 122 miles. It's about 3:30, 4 o'clock. Wait, I could literally do the time here. So yeah, it's about 4 o'clock when we did the test on this. And hey, 80 meters, not really effective at that time. It's, workable, but yeah, pretty quiet though. Look at the SNR, -24, -25. Not fantastic, but yeah, okay. Hey, it's a data point.
Now, to wrap things up a little bit, I do have the REZ 25. So this is their 25-foot whip. You can see the difference. We've talked about 25-foot whips in the past, right? You can see quite a bit beefier. This is the one that got me in trouble, or almost the same one, same style, 25-foot, that got me in trouble going to Hawaii, because they took the 25-foot because I wasn't sure that I was going to have the ground composition to do 20 meters or not. And I fully expected I would have to set this up in my front yard right now, but I didn't. And so that's a good thing. And that kind of also shows you the variety, how ground composition in different areas will change, and where you may need to go to the 25 in some cases, because 17 is just not going to be long enough. So yeah, keep that in mind. These guys are riveted though. They're riveting, if you will. Now I should also mention that REZ has a fold-out antenna. This is basically reminiscent of the military kind of sectional 20-meter antenna that you can use. This should get us roughly 20 meters. Oh, what the heck. We're here. I'm not doing anything on a Sunday. I've been out here for hours. Let's do it right and check this guy too. Might as well, right? I would like to think that this will just be plumb good on 20, but with no adjustability, that's just a little scary. But yeah, this is totally reminiscent of like a military mast. Noticing something interesting on this military whip. See that little dot? It's like an insulating material, but it's like stuck on the threads. Is that so it prevents it from twisting out, rotating out? I think so, because it makes it quite firm to get in. Okay. Now, I free this. It's free. Oh, oh. Oh, yeah, okay. I guess you have to do this all. Yeah? This looks too short. I realize my problem. This is not meant for the Scout. This is meant for the Ranger 80. So of course you can mix and match everything, but it's going to be different when you attach a coil like this. You're gonna need more coil. I get it now. Now I bet you 40 meters is gonna be about right there. I'm just taking a guess. That makes more sense to me. So you take the fold out sectional whip, and that's what you use with the Ranger 80. Now, it's mix and match. It's still a la carte. If you want to use a 17, or the 17 is what you bring with you, and you just bring that coil with you, go nuts. That's something you can do too. But let's test to that. It's not even finding it. What's going on? Okay. We whipping here, or is it too low? Holy smokes. Where is it? Down there? I must be losing my mind. So we're past the halfway mark here. A lot of clicks up, a lot of clicks. Click, 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 click. Still a lot of clicks. So same game. I think we're going to be just a couple of free clicks from the top. And that was too high. Okay, so it requires more. So that's 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There it is. Ay, ay, ay. That was 6. Almost. Almost. 2 clicks. 3 clicks. 3 clicks. Here we go. 3 clicks. 1, 2, 3. No. That's too long. It's right in between 2 coils. So we rotate. There it is. All right, so we got this down to 1.33 at around 7,200. All right. That looks about right. That's fine. Is that better than the whip? I'm not sure on 40, but I think this might work better on 80. That doesn't mean it's going to be a good performer. In fact, I think it's going to be the opposite. But when I say works good, I mean on the meter, it's going to look better. So if I just take this and just whack it down here, I'm guessing like that. That's what I'm guessing. So maybe the extra coil is so that you can put different lengths of whip. Yep. But it's not better. It's not better. Too short. It's probably not even. It's probably 1 click is the entirety of it. Still too short. What happened to the wire? Oh, it's just a jacket. Okay, now I get it. Yeah, it's barely moving with 1 or 2 clicks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 clicks. 6 clicks. Well, okay. So we've got 1.72 at 3.732, which is not bad. Being under 2-to-1 SWR is fine. The problem is, and you might be able to see it, yes, you can, that is a very tight V. So when you add a lot of coil, a lot of inductor, you create Q. And Q is going to narrow the bandwidth, the usable bandwidth of your antenna. When we're playing around with the vertical, we get a very wide bandwidth. When you're using that dipole, very wide bandwidth covering a sizable portion of the band. If we had extended those telescoping whips to some impossible number to be a quarter wavelength on 80 meters, we would have a bandwidth that wide. Because we've added a large inductor, a coil, we've shortened that usable bandwidth. And that makes it something you'll have to go in there and tune. And by tune, I mean physically adjust to high or low in that band space to change to the frequency of the person you want to make a contact with. Not exactly something that everyone wants to do, but it does work. Well, I've just about drained all my batteries out here. My 705 is about dead, and I thought I would do the wrap up of the REZ antenna Gauntlet. You got a couple of options here with the REZ. Obviously, we talked about the Ranger 80, the Recon 40, and my favorite, probably the Scout. You can tell it just goes up in size as you go down in frequency, which is not a peculiar thing, right? You're gonna need more inductors, you're gonna need a longer coil to get down to 80. The thing with REZ though, is they're incredibly, I would say that so it's fair to say overbuilt. These are some incredibly robust pieces of kit that for some of you, it just speaks volumes to you and the aesthetics of ham radio. And for you, that's fine. For me, it's a little too overbuilt. This is exactly what I want, right? I want something that's small, it's light, it has the radial holes drilled into it, it has this very ingenious, kind of keyed, right, notched and threaded system for doing the dipole, for doing that delta loop. You add that little chunk of metal, and that's all there really is to it. You use the tuner to handle it. This is definitely the most versatile option, but this has a limit, right? If you're just doing vertical, it will only take you to as long as you can get a whip in the air. So realistically, that 25-footer could take you down to 30 meters, but you're not getting 40 out of it. If you wanted to go that far, you'd have to add a coil. Now, I don't believe REZ at this time is manufacturing a coil that would go on top of the Scout, so you would have to look up the Recon or go up to the Recon. The nice thing about the Recon is, yes, you still can do 20 meters, and you can just turn off and on the solution there. And if you want, you can take this out of the loop and go with the Scout, and then you can just adjust the whip. But yeah, no big deal. Just turn the coil off, and then you can adjust the whip regardless, and you can get the higher frequencies, like 10 meters or something along those lines. Going with the delta loop, though, that might be possibly one of the better listeners, aside from that dipole that we had today. The problem, of course, is that you need that tuner, and so it's one extra thing you have to take into the kit, which you may not want to do that. And if you don't want to carry that, I get it. So you're back to tuning a vertical physically to make it work, and limited by how big a whip you can carry into the field. A quick note on the military type sectional whip. Ugh, cool. I think I did that wrong. Let me redo this. I think you start at the tip. Yeah, I think that's how you're supposed to do this. Anyway, I'm not against these, but I feel like you get more functionality with the 17-meter whips. So I would just advocate you go get one of those. These are fairly limiting, meaning you just get this maximum length. You can't adjust it. And so you can't get different frequencies, higher frequencies out of it. And you have to use a coil to get you to where you want to be. Yeah, you definitely want to start at the tip and then work your way down. So I'm going to say no to these because they're not adjustable, right? You have to use a coil to get to where you want to be, which you may not want to do. Anyway, 17-foot whip for that. Ow, I just actually pinched my hand with this thing. It got so heavy as it was going through the collar, and my finger got, the webbing of my hand got stuck in between there. Not bad, but okay. So what do I think about the Ranger? It's built like a tank. It's really cool. For me though, I wouldn't carry this. Maybe this is perfect for like a permanent installation. Although I worry that you have to go adjust this a lot to be able to play radio with it, which, you know, that may be okay for you. If you're down for the look of this and the robustness of the manufacturer, then yeah. But for me, it's just a little too big and a little too fussy, as you saw I was playing around with. And that's kind of why I seldom use big inductors on verticals. I almost always just forgo the band, or I just put up the long wire. For me, the vertical's great, freestanding antenna. You're good to go. You can activate your POTA during the day and then get on with your life. If I'm doing HF on lower frequencies, I'm almost always going with a wire. You could really defend yourself with this thing though. This is no joke, man. Now, a couple of other pieces of note. REZ Antenna has some through chokes that are available on their website. This is another one. This is like a wound up toroid type choke, and you can see I've got a little readout there. Do I have that displayed right? Yeah, there you go. These are both fine options. I just happen to use the one somebody shipped me today. And yeah, you probably want something like that in a portable situation. Having a choke at the feed line, particularly if you're doing digital modes, can help. Otherwise, work that out with a choke on your USB. That'll likely help you too, so you don't lose connection. Are these antennas more susceptible than other antennas? Not really. Just something nice to have in your pack or in your POTA or SOTA setup. This might be the lighter option. They both weigh about the same, believe it or not. You're likely getting more choking power with this, because if you think one toroid, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is kind of like 5 to 7 loops. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 through the hole. This is likely having way more choking power.
Now, I couldn't really leave it at that, so let's talk a little bit about comparing all the antennas together. On 20 meters, the dipole was the best. It got the longest distance. But what I did was I sorted by call sign and included all, the vertical, the dipole, the delta loop. And I wanted to see where certain call signs lined up with each other. So for instance, this AK6MJ. Well, I got picked up by the dipole, the delta loop, and the 17-foot whip. And the 17-foot whip beat the other two in that particular instance. But take a look at this, K3LR. They heard me on the delta loop and the dipole, but not the 17-foot whip. And the delta loop outperformed the dipole by about 5 dB. And the story is not consistent here, so that's what makes things kind of difficult to test, right? So flip that around again. Let's see where the dipole wins, KV5VW. Dipole, negative 8 dB, better signal. Delta loop, negative 18. And then the vertical, negative 14. So it's tough using Whisper for reasons that I'm showing here. It does not lend itself to one consistent antenna being better than the other. And people have commented that in the past that, oh, Josh and his Whisper test, blah, blah, blah. Now, time of day, the propagation at that particular moment will vary, and that could arbitrarily show one antenna being better than another. So that's not really the purpose here. It's more of an interest for me in seeing what maximum distance is at a time. I like to be able to hit K3LR. So, would a delta loop be better at that particular moment? Yeah. Does that mean it's a better antenna? No. Anyway, wanted to clear that up a little bit and talk a little bit about some of these results because it's kind of interesting. Anyway, I am Josh, KI6NAZ. Thank you so much for listening. If you haven't already, give me a thumbs up. Remember to subscribe, and I'll talk to you later. 73.